أن الغالبية العظمى هي دول.
And despair is also at the heart of what has driven what became known as the Great Marches of Return and the protest actions that have taken place here every Friday for now much over a year. Thousands of young people mainly have been injured or killed in these events, and this includes many UNRWA students, 13 of whom have lost their lives and were killed in these protest marches. So please understand that the UNRWA schools across the Gaza Strip are important centers of learning, of course, first and foremost. But they are also places where young boys and girls, traumatized by war and injustice, receive care, attention, and support. At a time where so little hope seems to continue to exist here in Gaza, where the risk of conflict seems ever present, where both psychological pressures and social tensions are often so extreme, UNRWA stands with its students. Speak about providing education and empowering young people. It is not something theoretical in the UNRWA education system. But this has been at risk because you know and you remember that in 2018, when the United States decided to cut $300 million from our income, we faced an existential crisis and mobilized the rest of the international community to come not to UNRWA's support, but to the support of students, to their dignity and their rights. And in addition to the financial challenges, we have faced repeated political challenges in recent years. And I think here, for example, of challenges against the definition of Palestine refugees or the numbers and misrepresentations in that regard. But we also face challenges to our services and to the delivery of our services in East Jerusalem, for example. It is very important that everybody understands that UNRWA is a service provider, but we are also an advocate for the rights of Palestine refugees, and we take those two roles very seriously indeed. And when I see and hear from our students how important the education is to them, I know that every single effort that my colleagues and I are making to keep the schools open throughout the year, to mobilize the necessary funding, and to advocate for the rights of these students is deeply worth it. So, you know, that is one of the questions that we really don't like to be prepared for. And everybody here assembled who is from Gaza knows what the consequences of a war would be in human terms. I experienced together with you part of the war in 2014, and I know how deep the consequences were for thousands and thousands of families, for many students in UNRWA schools at the time. So this question is always one that we approach with great reservation and care. But of course, as a humanitarian organization, we have a responsibility to help in any circumstance. And we would do that again if the needs change and if a dramatic situation happened. You can count on the fact that we will be there. We're not going away. We're standing firm, and we would respond to the best of our abilities. And because we just spoke about the schools, we remember that in 2014, 90 of our school buildings served as designated shelters to host and help protect, to the best extent possible, up to 300,000 people at the time who were moving, displaced among the population and among refugees inside the Gaza Strip. Never forget how some of our colleagues who were teachers or school principals became the next morning the managers of the shelters, and when the war was over, they went back to being the school principals and the teachers. And that is about as extraordinary a contribution that I can imagine. And when I joined UNRWA at the time, I knew that this was an organization worth protecting with all our passion and dedication.